An alien general mocked Earth. Now his army serves. Under our flag general Zexthul had seen 1,000 worlds burn. His crimson scales gleamed under the harsh lights of the war room as he studied the holographic display of the third planet from the yellow star. Earth, they called it. A backwater world populated by primitive bipeds who had barely achieved faster-than-light travel. "You waste our time with this insignificant speck," he hissed to the Galactic Council's representative, his 4 eyes narrowing, in contempt. "My Draconian Legion has conquered civilizations that spanned entire sectors. These humans, what threat could they possibly pose?" The Council representative, a nervous Altarian with translucent blue skin, shifted uncomfortably. "General, our intelligence suggests—" "Intelligence?" Zexthul's laugh was like grinding metal. "They fight with chemical explosives and primitive kinetic weapons. My warriors wield plasma cannons and energy shields. This will not be a war, it will be an extermination." 3 months later, General Zexthul found himself in chains aboard a human vessel, his once mighty legion either dead or kneeling before human commanders. The irony was not lost on him that the shackles binding his wrists were made from the same titanium steel alloy his own ships had been constructed from. Captain Sarah Chen stood before him, her brown eyes holding none of the mercy he had expected from these supposedly primitive beings. Behind her, the bridge of the UES Defiance hummed with quiet efficiency. Human crew members working alongside captured Draconian soldiers who now wore Earth's blue and silver insignia. "You wanted to know how we did it," Chen said, her voice calm and measured. "How a primitive species brought the great Draconian Legion to its knees." Zexthul remained silent, his pride wounded, but his curiosity burning. "You made the same mistake every species makes when they first encounter humanity," Chen continued, gesturing toward the view screen that showed Earth's blue marble hanging in the void. "You saw our technology and assumed that defined our capabilities. You saw our weapons and thought you understood our warfare." She began to pace, her boots clicking rhythmically against the metal deck. "When your advance fleet arrived at Luna Station, you expected terror. Instead, you found dock workers and miners who grabbed whatever tools they could find and fought you in the asteroid tunnels. When you landed on Earth, you expected surrender. Instead, you found 7 billion humans who decided that dying free was preferable to living under your rule." Zexthul's mandibles clicked involuntarily. He remembered those first weeks. The confusion in his ranks as humans refused to break despite overwhelming odds. Farmers with hunting rifles taking down Draconian, warriors in powered armor, children lobbing homemade explosives at his hover tanks, entire cities choosing to be reduced to rubble rather than submit. "Your soldiers are magnificent warriors," Chen admitted. "Individually, each of your troops is worth 5 of mine. Your technology is centuries ahead of ours. Your ships are faster, your weapons more powerful, your armor nearly impenetrable. Then how—" Zexthul began, then stopped himself. Chen smiled, but there was no warmth in it. "Because you thought in terms of soldiers and ships and weapons. We thought in terms of everything else. When you destroyed our fleets, we built new ones in hidden shipyards. When you blockaded our supply lines, we turned asteroids into factories. When you killed our generals, 10,000 others stepped up to take their place." She paused at the view screen, her reflection ghost-like against the stars. "You learned to follow orders without question, to trust in your superior technology and training. We learned to improvise, to adapt, to find victory in the spaces between your strategies. The door to the bridge opened, and Zexathul's breath caught. Commander Veltar entered, his own second-in-command, now wearing the insignia of the Earth Defense Force. The betrayal stung worse than any wound. "Forgive me, General," Veltar said, his voice heavy with what might have been regret. "But they offered us something you never did." "And what was that?" Zexathul snarled. "Choice," Veltar replied simply. "When Captain Chen's forces surrounded our position on Europa, she did not demand surrender. She asked us to consider which future we preferred, endless war in service of the Empire or the possibility of peace in service of something greater." Chen nodded toward Veltar. "Commander Veltar has been instrumental in integrating your remaining forces with ours. It turns out that when you give people the freedom to choose their own path, they often choose surprisingly well." Zexthul looked around the bridge with new eyes. Humans and Draconians worked side by side, their former enmity replaced by professional cooperation. It should have been impossible. His species had conquered through strength and fear for millennia. These humans had achieved in months what his empire had failed to do in centuries. They had created genuine loyalty. "You turned my own troops against me," he said bitterly. "No," Chen corrected. "We showed them that there was an alternative to being your troops. The choice was theirs to make." As if to punctuate her point, a young human ensign approached Veltar with a tactical report. The Draconian commander reviewed it quickly, then suggested a modification that made the human nod with appreciation. "Equals," Zexthul realized. They worked as equals. "The Council has agreed to our terms," Chen continued. "The Draconian Empire will withdraw from this sector. In exchange, any of your people who wish to return home will be transported safely. Those who choose to remain will be welcomed as full citizens of the Earth Federation." "And what of me?" Zexthul asked. Chen studied him for a long moment. "That depends. Are you ready to learn what we learned long ago? That true strength comes not from the fear you inspire, but from the hope you offer?" The former general looked at his transformed legion, at humans and Draconians working together toward a common goal, at the impossible made real through simple human stubbornness and the radical notion that everyone deserved a choice. For the first time in his long life, General Zexthul began to understand that there might be something worth learning from these remarkable beings who had dared to turn his mockery into their victory. "Perhaps," he said quietly, "it is time for this old warrior to become something more."